2 in StarWalker Industries and where we're going. Today is a good day for me because I get to share the spotlight with other people on my team. I don't have to be the sole one behind the image and branding that we're used to. Just as a reminder, we still are in the friends and family round of our WeFunder capital raise. All of the things that we talk about today could be subject to SEC rules and regulations after we file what they call our Form C. So we will not be able to talk about things like how much money you're going to get back or the valuation of the company or what the equity is going to look like. All of that information is on the WeFunder site. Our site is invest.starwalkerindustries.com. Go there. You'll get information on those details there. Again, all of this has to go through our crowd equity funding portal. So any specific questions can have to be answered through the portal. But today we're going to highlight other people on our team. So to talk about what motivates them in this transaction, how they got to know me, what do they feel about this going forward, and a little bit about themselves too. So without further ado, we'll spend about 5 to 7 minutes on each person. Shar is our sort of MC for today. She will sort of give us the next button. So Shar, without further ado, if you want to go ahead and let us know who's next, I'll start the interviewing process.
Well, the first person that I would like to highlight is our chief engineer, because without Greg and the chief engineer, there's no way we're going to be able to build this plant. We're doing a lot of wonderful things right now on the distribution side of our company, but from the manufacturing side, that is going to be something that we're going to be starting from the ground up. So Greg, if you would like to unmute and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Thank you, Shar.
You're welcome.
My name is Greg Kirschner. Been friends with David for ever since our oldest daughters were in kindergarten together. So been involved in a lot of activities outside of business. And then many years ago, David came on board to help me acquire a company from a business attorney perspective. And we've been close friends ever since. And my engineering firm, a company called Intertech, has been building plants and been involved with projects for nearly 30 years, probably done well over 1,500 projects around the world. Many of those facilities, we got involved early with bottled water and have built many plants from the ground up to support the bottled water industry as it's grown. As David and I got to talking about what his visions were, there's a lot of things that I really think are great. The bottled water market has grown tremendously. It still remains the fastest growing beverage market in the industry. And much like all industrial projects, they start with little players. They get a lot of consolidation, and the shift goes towards building bigger and bigger plants to take advantage of scale and all this aspects of it. The problem is that as the market's grown, the locations of these facilities, they've gotten bigger, and the quantity of bottles going out the door has grown tremendously. And so one of the major costs that gets the projects to get burdened with is freight. So when David approached me and talked about what his vision was, which is to build local plants to serve local communities, and eliminating the freight costs, I think it's a very successful, attractive business plan. Also in terms of, we get involved with a lot of the discussions around plastics and is plastics a good packaging material or not? And without stating my opinion, I think one of the things that David's really been focused on is doing the making sure that he sets up a program that captures the plastic back and can put it back into the system. The material that it will be used can be recycled over and over again. It's pretty much endless. but it has to get back into the recycle stream. That's been the biggest drawback of all recycle programs, is how do you capture it and put it back into the recycle stream. And so I think David's business plan of rewarding the people, the consumers, to return that plastics back to its supplier is a solid plan that really closes the circle on the recycle stream. So very excited to be a part of that, and appreciate David including me in this conference call.
Greg, thanks, Greg. I think that you were being a little too modest. However, asking Greg to build this little line for me is like asking Ford if they can build a go-kart. I mean, Greg has done this at such a huge level that when I came to him about this project, he's like, something so small, you mean like the Angola project? I don't know if you remember this, Greg. And I used to say, yeah, the Angola project. I want to see the smallest possible plant and the smallest possible footprint ever. And since that time, Greg has been doing a good job of not just designing the plant, but pushing the critical components about efficiency and what size blow mold machine and what we might need, and the different products. Greg's also modest because he's responsible for this product here. He has the machine and the equipment and the intellectual property to create our 3-liter bottle, which we will sell at our facility. This is a mock-up of the bottle, but everything from the utilities that's required to the engineering and design, Intertech and his team will handle. And Greg is the sole reason why I'm doing this. He is the link between how come everyone doesn't do this and how come now. And between the things that we've discovered in distribution and what he's done in respect to the manufacturing and the engineering side of it, I feel very good about it. We have known each other for a long time. We used to bid on the same auction items in kindergarten with our kids, and now they're in college. So this is actually a full circle relationship between Greg's engineering firm and myself and my law firm. And I really am excited about doing this with you, Greg. I appreciate it. Any parting words, any positive thoughts for the day you want to leave before we move on to our next member?
When David and I first met, I actually had hair.
Me too, Greg, me too. I'm just kidding.
Hey, Greg, I hope that's not a pattern. I'm not trying to join y'all.
You keep your hair, Shar. You keep your hair for now. They got maybe
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look, I appreciate it. Well, I think, another important component that we need to talk about is the funding. So now we've talked about the engineering, we've talked about the building of the facility, but at the end of the day, this is an equity crowdfunding campaign. And one of the things we're looking to do is to raise enough funds, not just to increase our distribution through our StarWalker distribution arm of the company, but to actually start building plants locally here in Atlanta and as well as other areas. So one of the persons that's really worked closely with David in putting together the financials and taking the numbers that Greg has put together has been our Chief Financial Officer, Andrew Levy. And so Andrew, if you'd like to go ahead and unmute yourself and tell everybody a little bit about who you are, that would be great.
That's great. Thank you, Shar. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Lydian. I'm Chief Financial Officer for StarWalker. I've been a CFO now for about 22 years in varied industries, but manufacturing and distribution is a core focus of ours. David, I've known for maybe 12 or 13 years. First got an opportunity to know him as a business attorney, and it didn't take too long for me to figure out that David is truly an entrepreneur at heart. And finally, he's having an opportunity to execute that, and I couldn't be more tickled to be on this journey with him. And one of the things that's important, certainly from our perspective, is raising money at this stage of the game, and we've done our varied modeling to determine what kind of money we need and what the when we begin to show profitability and how long it takes to put a manufacturing facility together. So these are all things that we spend a lot of time internally on challenging each other with and coming up with a model, with a forecast that meets reasonable expectations, given the what I'm sure will be a very successful capital finance round. One of the things that I wanted to speak about briefly are the two different components, and Shar alluded to it a moment ago, where we have our sales and our distribution arm, but also the manufacturing arm. And as David had commented in a recent discussion on Facebook Live, he had spoken about the importance of being able to control our costs, to be able to get meetings with larger customers for larger volumes, which we simply couldn't do when we're having to rely on our manufacturing suppliers and manufacturing support and partners more aggressively. So now we're taking that in ourselves. We're looking to insource, we're looking to build a facility so that we can manage our costs. And this really goes far beyond what Greg had spoken about a moment ago with respect to freight. We're talking about making a facility that is functional, efficient, productive, and can manage our costs and drop greater dollars to the bottom line. One of the things that also resonates with me, and I hope it will with you as well, is David's foresight and recognition, the importance of having a team to surround him. We all have our skill sets. We all bring those skills to bear. But to be able to rely, to delegate, and to move the ball forward, to use an NFL term, but to move that ball forward speaks a great deal for David, his insight, expertise, and again, his entrepreneurship spirit. And one of the things, just since we're talking about hair and hair club for men, the old concept of, or the old comment of, not only do I sell this, but I'm also a user, right? I'm also invested in it myself. And I wanted to speak without getting too far ahead of myself, but I personally am committing my dollars to this next finance round because I feel so passionately about it myself. So from an outsider's perspective, I'm supporting him with my skill set, my expertise, but I'm also supporting him in this endeavor with my own dollars because I feel so strongly and passionately about David, about the idea, and about the team he's surrounding himself with. Thanks.
Oh man, that was awesome. Andrew, you're much more nicer now than you are to me when we're going over these numbers. I need to see the nicer, calmer side. The good news about what Andrew does is he sort of ask me all the right questions that you don't ask. I tend to be an optimist, obviously by nature, being positive, meaning that everything that comes along, it's like, sure, no problem. But what he does is takes my idea, takes Greg's idea, and then thinks about all the little holes that fills it in. Have you thought about depreciation, your healthcare benefits, all these other little things that add up that, we have a tendency as engineers to fat finger a round number. And he kind of goes through with every detail and saying, okay, this is exactly how much you need. He creates this dynamic Excel spreadsheet that has all these variables in them that as we change them, it flows through your whole pro forma. So if you're like, hey, what if we do, 4 8-hour shift people, and how many employees would that be? And how would that spread out over time? And what does that look like as a return on investment? And Andrew does an excellent job of putting that information together. And we've been going over this for a long time. It's been about 4 or 5 years with the first model and second model, and it'll probably be another 4 or 5 years going forward. But as my clients know, I always advocate you got to have a financial person within your team to really get a good feel of your numbers, because as much experience that I have or Greg have or the rest of my team, we still don't understand sometimes what that final balance sheet needs to look like or what the final financial statements needs to be put in place. Andrew does a good job of that. We share some clients in common. He has all of his hair, so no matter what Greg says, this is not definitely directly related to your keeping your hair in terms of getting involved with the team. So, but Andrew, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate not just your love for the company, but your investment dollars as well. It's a lot of pressure to make everybody a lot of money, and I'm always going to be up to it. I think winning the Super Bowl will be easy after this.
It's truly my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, great. That was good. Okay, Shar. So 2 for 2.
Look, I'm sticking to my story. You guys can all deal with the hair loss stuff. Me and Jada, we gonna keep all our hair.
Good.
All right,
so who's up next?
Jada is going to be our next person to share. One of the things that we all know behind every great executive has got to be a very, very strong back office. And Jada really brings that to our team for not just David, but for all of us. She is responsible for our logistics and moving our product from our distribution division. So whenever we have purchase orders that come in and things like that, or we need quotes and, just all around filling the gap in the office, Jada is our go-to person. And she's really there with David on a day-to-day basis. So Jada, take it away.
I appreciate that gracious introduction, Ms. Shar. As mentioned, my name is Jada Collins. I recently joined the team almost about a year ago, so just about a month short of a year. I came in originally as an executive assistant, and freshly graduated, class of COVID, graduated via YouTube stream last May. And I think the main word for 2020 was really pivot. And so I came in and basically I needed to be anything that Dave needed. I was definitely filling in the gaps as far as the assistant went. And then I was able to get introduced into the logistics arm of it. And I really kind of found my footing with that, and I'm just so blessed for the opportunity to be here and experience it for now almost a year. So I'm responsible for managing the warehouse, keeping track of the inventory, not only there, but also in Best Warehousing, which is another Atlanta warehouse that we have. We currently have 11 different plants across the US. That is our co-packer Premium Waters, and we ship truckloads. And we have pallets here. I ship individual cases of our positivity that everyone knows and loves. But for our integrity, it's strictly truckloads. And that's where, you know, the good money lies. So with purchase orders, as Shar mentioned, I'm responsible for processing those, requesting freight, bargaining for a good price. It's definitely difficult being a female in logistics. A lot of people like to try and maybe do me a little bit dirty. Yeah, but Dave, I appreciate him so much for, you know, really giving me a backbone and showing me the, you know, the skills of the trade. And, you know, anytime I answer the phone, it's, yes, this is a logistics officer. How can I help you? And I definitely know that's just been an absolutely great experience. So I can't thank Dave enough for bringing me on and giving me the ability to not only just, you know, be here and support him, but to just completely expand into this really awesome field. You know, logistics is really expansive, and I'm really excited to move into the localized plant, because as much as I try to get a good price for freight, it can be definitely sticky with all of this inclement weather, and you know, it's a very volatile season for freight year round, really. So I think, you know, that localization would be really, really awesome. I think he has a great vision for it, and I'm super excited to see where it's going to go.
Thanks, Jada. You know, Jada is also downplaying her critical need in this company. When she came in, I applied for executive assistant last summer because essentially the wheels were falling off in terms of the brand was growing bigger and we needed more resources, and I didn't know where to start. And I put out an ad for an executive assistant, and Jada applied the same day. She was ready the same day. She was on top of everything. And one of the reasons she got the job is she's like, do you need me to put together an Excel spreadsheet for your other candidates? So that's how qualified and skilled she is and motivated. But man, when she started to hit those logistics, and I said, well, I need someone to kind of help with these orders that are coming through, and you have to be sure you have the right purchase order number, and it has to match this freight number, and it has, all of these things are important, or else you order a truckload and go the wrong product. And she took off flying with it. To the point where I probably need to hire another executive assistant now. But she has so many skill sets in this company that helps us. She does some graphics for us if we need it. She does a mean open-faced sandwich for lunch when people come by. So Jada is very talented. I'm very lucky to have her. I feel like she is a blessing of COVID. I don't think you find talent like Jada unless people were in situations like the pandemic has presented itself. Hopefully we'll be here a long time. I think her 1-year anniversary sort of coming up, so that's very exciting. And she still has her hair, and it looks good. So
I full head of hair, and we're hoping to keep it that way.
The idea that these people are losing their hair because of me, I don't think that Greg just threw that up. I don't think there's anything in this office that would suggest that.
So far, it's you guys are the odd ones out. So exactly. Shar and I, Andrew, we can't really relate. So
I think it's
more
like
a personal problem. That could be stressful. So
that's right. Thanks, Jada. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good. All right, Shar, you ready?
All right. Well, Patrick, do you want to go? Do you want to take up the caboose and I go next, or do you want to go next?
You can go next. That'd be good. I'll introduce you, and then you can talk, and then we'll do Patrick, and if Ryan's on here, we'll do Ryan. And that I've talked before, so I don't think that's a big deal. And then the last maybe 20 minutes or so, we'll open it up to some questions. If you have questions, please put them in the chat about the whole process in general, whether it's about bottled water, whether it's about this investment in particular, whether it's about the plant, whatever you want to hear, you can go through. All right, so Shar, it's your turn. Chief Marketing Officer. How'd you get that title and how did you know me?
I've known David Walker for over 15 years. We met when I first started my first company, and he was business attorney David Walker, and we were doing the BOMB, the Business Owner Movement, and he did weekly networking events where he allowed different business owners to get together and be able to ask different questions and be able to meet each other. And so David has just been very instrumental in my growth over the last decade. And then for the pandemic, then we got into a situation where, you know, like many other people, business started slowing down and I was looking for something more full-time and permanent. And I went to David and he was like, sure, come on board. And we didn't know what I was going to do for David in the beginning. I used to call my family up and said, David fired me again. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, but he hired me for something else. So we finally came to the place where I became David's project manager. And as his project manager, David has really stretched me and he's really pulled me up because I keep wanting to go down into the details and the grime. And he's like, no, I need you to come up here and work with me and operate with me at this level. So at this point, I get to boss David around. I get to set his calendar. I get to remind him of all the things that he needs to do and just keep him up to speed. And I work with Jada a lot. We do a lot of graphics together. We're always collaborating throughout the entire day. I think the thing that I like the most about StarWalker Industries is the ability to think outside of the box. So we have a lot of structure with what we do, but then when it comes time to be able to expand what we're doing and how we're doing it, David is just a great leader to be able to take us outside of the box and keep us within structure. So that's always been very exciting for me working with him. And it's kind of like we have I hope I can share this, David.
You can say whatever you like.
Okay, great. Jada, you can testify to this. David takes us and he pushes us out the net. Like Jada's laughing, like the Papa Bird does. And then he kind of watches us and he sees that if we need help and if he needs help, we need help, he kind of swoops in and comes underneath us and he may carry us for a while. And then when he feels like we're at a certain level, then whoop, he dips back out and lets us spread our wings and fly. So it's been really, really great learning experience, a great growing experience. I'm very excited when I looked at the fact that in San Antonio, Texas, you know, there was that disaster there and they needed water locally. And David was actually working on this plan, on this project to solve that problem. One of the things I learned about as an entrepreneur is that, you know, you can either come up with a great product or you can come up with a solution to a problem. And what David has done, he's done both. He's come up with a great product with the Positivity Alkaline Water. And of course, we still have the Integrity Water. But the other thing that he's done, he's come up with a solution to be able to manufacture water locally, sell water locally, and then he has an environmental impact I can't think of the right word, but an environmental impact with recycling, you know, the water bottles. And so in working with Greg and his other affiliates at Intertech and the different companies, we now have a program to go ahead and implement a closed loop recycling program. So it's just very exciting for me. And I just love being part of the StarWalker experience.
Awesome. Thanks, Shar. But again, Shar does not necessarily express her value to this company. Shar helped to design our original Integrity bottle and the label here. She helped tremendously in designing this label. And after I had a heartbreak meltdown, when I saw our first draft, and I basically taped it to my desk for 2 weeks to remind myself of failures, Shar was the one who pulled me out of the depression pit and come up with a new label design for positivity. Again, I think it was the circumstances of the pandemic I was offered some money to help hire people. I knew that Shar was a key component to what I was doing. I was lucky enough to have her in the company. She's been a multifaceted tool like Jada that she can jump from wherever. All these team people have in common is that they can move from issue to issue. I think as we build this plant, we found since basically since we've been doing things so far, is it's not necessarily about having problems. There's always going to be a problem pop up. It's about who are the team members you have to correct the problem. And not only is this team capable of correcting problems, they're able of correcting problems without me. So I know my name is Bernard, but I think a lot of them, when I went on vacation for a couple of days, I felt very comfortable that things were still being managed. So I think that everyone has versatility and they have bought in. They have multiple skill sets, as most people do in life. And here at StarWalker, we try to stretch people to what things they find attractive. And if they find some skill set that matches them, that matches what the company needs, that's what we do. We're looking to hire an intern here to help with some of the marketing that we have to do for social media related to this. And so that should be out there next week, but we're constantly growing. We have a culture document that talks about positivity and integrity and the culture we try to cultivate inside this company in terms of respecting other people's opinions, but at the same time being helpful and thoughtful to what other members of the team are going through, both personally and professionally. And I think we're trying to build on that and bring in the right kinds of people. And Jada and Shara have been involved each time a new person has come into our fold. So I think that this says a lot about them. They mean a lot to me. They've helped me out tremendously in this venture, and I'm looking forward to growing with them. Thank you, Shar. Did a good job. Okay, our next person.
Our next person, well, Patrick Wilson. For all good companies that have a product that they need to provide, without a good sales team and a good outside arm, we're never going to be successful. So, I think sometime it was after the pandemic started, David and I, we got an email from this guy named Patrick Wilson, and Patrick was like, oh, I really want to help. I really want to get involved. And, I have some connections. And Patrick has really, really been instrumental in opening doors for us with different organizations, different retail locations and outlets, and has been a pivotal part of us being able to spread our brand from one end of the United States to the other in getting us some national accounts. So I will allow Patrick and David to be the ones to actually reveal those accounts to you. But Patrick, if you'd like to unmute yourself and share a little bit more about who you are, I think that would be wonderful.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Char. I really appreciate that. That is really heartfelt. This is very interesting for me, and it's kind of heartfelt too, because an interesting thing is I have never met David Walker, Char Ross, or Jada Collins yet, but I feel like I have. And so when I approached them months ago, we were in the climax of the pandemic. And what could have happened is that Jada, Char, and David could have really said, hey, we've got a lot going on, pandemic's going on, it's not the right time, because we had everyone personally had a lot to focus on personally, right? We were really trying to survive personally, let alone try to take on new business. But what they did was they allowed me to do that. And they have a really special place in my heart. And I'm not just saying that because we're on this call, but I'm really, really a person of old school values. People who open doors for me, people who give me opportunities, I never forget it. And I pledge an allegiance and loyalty to them that is exponential. And so that's a personal thing. And to the sales thing, or the sales element of it, what I wanted to do is when I was given that opportunity, I wanted to make sure that I was a person of my word. And so I became this chief promoter, beginning with my own social media. And I'd never been a person that was on social media often, but I knew taking on this, that I needed to do that, because what that would do is that would create a lot of brand identity amongst people that knew me. The brand was known prior to me coming around, but the individuals that were friends with me, whether it was some of my colleagues, would know this is what I'm doing, and they would begin to ask me questions, and I would be able to answer those questions. And so, also in addition to that, this is something I'm going to reveal on the call. I went to two of my colleagues when I started this, and I said, "Hey guys, come join me. We can do this. We can do this. We could blow this thing completely up. And they said no. And I said, I don't like that. I don't like that. And so there was a chip that developed on my shoulder. And I pledged that I was going to show them, and I was going to show everybody who didn't take in. When I held the bottle up on my Facebook and said, hey, you want to buy some water? I'll send it to you. Nah, I don't want it. I said, you know what? I just show them all. And so I built a vision board. I took the positivity water, I put it in every single room that's in my house. Every person that said yes, they wanted it, I made sure that I was thankful to them. I brought it to them. I talked to them for hours about it. And so that just drove me. And so I'm high energy when it comes down to my determination to really be successful, because I am not a person that handles failure well. I just don't. I'm like the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Babe Ruth, Larry Bird kind of guy. You know, when I don't succeed at something, I could go into deep bouts of depression. And the only thing that lifts me is success. It just does. And so when I commit my, one of the reasons I'm growing my hair back, folks, as you can see.
Oh no, not another one.
Yes, but I'll give you the story at the end. It's an interesting story. So one of the things that's drove me to be successful at this is that being that I've worked in this industry for 10 years, I've worked for Kraft, I've worked for Kellogg's, I've worked for Glazers, I've worked for Pepsi, I've worked for Dr. Pepper, I've worked for all of those companies. And one of the things that I never had an opportunity to do is to contribute my own ideas. And so when you don't have an opportunity to contribute your own ideas, what happens is when you're in an environment, your motivation quotient or MQ will typically stagnate. And so that's the reason I think that people go to different jobs and they go to different environments, because they're looking to go to places where someone will at least consider your idea before turning it down, or say, hey, maybe this idea is better somewhere else in some other element. So one thing I will say is that what David has been very good at doing, and he's probably I think he will go down as probably one of the most influential people I've ever met, besides 3 drill sergeants that I met when I was a 17-year-old kid from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, going to Fort Knox, Kentucky. I'd never, ever left Louisiana in my life before. And those people pushed me through and taught me how to be a soldier and taught me how to be determined and everything that you needed to be to survive and to really, really have a can-do, motivated attitude. David is good at positioning people. David understood what I was good at, and he allowed me to do that. There are not a lot of leaders that do that. Sometimes leaders will not allow people to be what they're good at. Now, there's also an element of it. David knows how to apply enough pressure. So he's not laissez-faire. He applies just enough pressure. So, I like that idea, but here's how we're going to go with that. And that's what good leaders do. And I can tell you something. I respect that 100%. Even when there's been a direction we want to go and I disagreed with, I respected the delivery of it. I respected the rationale of it. And I respected the eventual outcome, which most of the time has been what he's basically predicted. And so this is a very, very, very exciting thing for me. I'm exuberant. I always say exuberant when they come with an idea, and I say I'm exuberant. And I really, really believe that. And I march. I'm like a one-man army where I'm just marching to different retailers, different trade associations, wherever it can go, I take it there. And I will commit to do that. And I'm just happy to be a part of this. And I see this being something very successful. And I'm glad that David, Char, and Jada has given me an opportunity to do that.
Excellent.
Hey, David, may I interject and echo something that Patrick said?
Sure.
And this is talking about the executive team, and at the end of the day, you are the executive at the head of the team. And I commend you for being able to verbalize that, Patrick, because David does have a gift and an ability to find people's natural talents and to push them, even when he's going, no, 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 no.
Yes. Very much.
Because, you know, there are a lot of times where he's seeing the long game. And sometimes what we're seeing is more of the short game. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to adjust and to be able to pull back and behind a strong leader. But, you know, I've also learned that leadership is being a servant leader. And so, Patrick, thank you for verbalizing that he does have that ability to identify your gifts and your strengths and to be able to hone them and tweak them. And I guess that's kind of like my bird, my analogy of him pushing the bird out of the nest, right? So just want to say, David, you know, don't blush too much, but here comes all the gushy part. You're a great leader, and we just really are happy to serve with you being at the helm and you just, you know, guiding the ship, even when we're resistant and even we don't fully understand where we're going. I just want to publicly say thank you for all that you've done. And thank you for teaching me that no may not be a bad thing.
Yes, same here.
Oh, that's awesome. I was more concerned that this would sound more like a eulogy and that talking about me in the past tense, but since I'm alive, I'll take all those warm welcomes that you guys bestowed on me. I mean, if you guys haven't seen this now who are not part of this team, this has always been bigger than me. It's always been other people with other ideas and other things that led up to this moment. And everybody knows on this call, as well as in my life, that I have a bigger goals than just what happens in this company. My goals, like everyone else, are important to me, but they can only be achieved with the help of a team. Patrick also didn't tell you. Patrick also hasn't told you something. He didn't tell you that he was instrumental in bringing on DJ Envy to our group. It was something that I had not really ever considered or thought about, and he sort of framed that deal and helped negotiate it, and that has definitely changed the trajectory of our business. He's helped us shepherd through City Trends, which is one of the stores that we are first at 100 locations. Now we're at 300 locations. And again, this is all about giving him enough space to sort of create ideas. I think that anybody who creates ideas is of value. You need 10 ideas to get one. Everybody will tell you that. You can't just, oh, it's one idea 1 week. So I'm encouraging everybody to throw as many outrageous goals on the board as possible, and one of them will stick, but just keep coming up with ideas. Patrick has done a good job of that. I listen to him. I take his advice very significantly, and I'm happy that he's on the team.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
So just so you guys know, we're always increasing our team. This is the spirit that we like to operate in. These are the people who I trust the value of this company in. You as investors should trust these people as well. We're all out to achieve the goal, which is to change the way the world thinks about bottled water, plastics, recycling, the whole thing. I think that with Greg's engineering and Andrew's financial awareness and Shard, Jada, and Patrick's execution, we have other people that are part of this team that we can't afford to put everybody on here that we possibly affiliated with. But I think this is a good, strong representation of the main drivers of the company and how we're moving forward and things that we're being successful at. So with that being said, I guess we would have some time for some Q&A. Some softball questions, as you will. Remember that because we are going through a fundraise event that is going to be ultimately monitored by the SEC, there's only so much information we could talk specifically about the investment that's not already on wefunder.com at our main website, invest.starwalkerindustries.com. But in the meantime, for the next 20 minutes or so, we'll maybe take some questions and then go from there. All right, Shar.
Okay, so first of all, Tom Boylan wants to know, David, can you give a general overview of how the friends and family rounds of fundraising is going right now?
Okay, very good question, Tom. So we have gone through wefunder.com, which is a crowdfunding equity platform. And again, some of this might be very basic for some people, but it might be new to other people. And then I'll ramp up to Tom's question. As part of the crowd equity fundraise, it's a legal platform that's governed by the Securities Exchange Commission. So because we're offering security in our company and not just like some token, a donation, a gift, or some sort of gift, then we have to be governed by the SEC. And the SEC have governed these platforms and licensed them to go out, host companies like ours on their platform, and they in turn also manage the investors that come on board. So wefunder.com is the platform, if you will, that is going through our corporate due diligence and our legal compliance to make sure that all the things we have, financial statements, et cetera, will be posted and adequately available for all of its investors. And it's also for your benefit as the investor, the ones that is going to go through and make sure everything is in place, that you don't somehow violate the SEC regulations as well. But it's mostly tailored to prevent me from violating those regulations. That being said, our total fundraising goal is $4.6 million. Now, I don't have it. Otherwise, we would just wrote a check, right, Greg? And said, here's $4.6 million, but I don't have it. So the traditional way that we raise money in our business is you go out to a bunch of wealthy people, accredited investors, and you do this, Reg D offering, and you give them a big, thick book, private placement memorandum that has everything you would need. And you go on these road shows to New York and talk to wealthy trust families, et cetera. And then they give you, large chunks of money at a time, 100,000, 200,000, and you get to your 4.6 million. We've chosen to go this route of crowdfunding because I wanted to be able to involve the community. I wanted to have people who are close to this process to actually profit from the process. I mean, after all, you're collecting a local resource and selling a local resource and recycling it locally. So I wanted the local people to have a chance. So that coincided with how the crowdfunding platform works for Refunder. We are actually what's called test the waters provision. That means that they're allowing us to hold these sort of Zooms, and they're allowing us to host their website, our page, and have it active to friends and family as a way to kind of judge if this is generally a good idea, if this is a good company, if this is a value company. So they have a voucher process where people have to vouch for your company. Some of you may receive that emails. They've also have a process in which you can sort of pledge your interest and investment to the company. None of it can be final until we're out of the test the water provision and they file what's called a Form C. Up until that time, we can continue to get pledges and have people pledge the money into the company. So to date, this pledges process has been private, and then it will go public May 1st. So May 1st, you will begin to see how much money we've raised and where our goals are. Because by that time, we should have had all of our financial filings formed. And by that time, we should be in a position to get our Form C. So in general, the first $100,000 of investment will get a special treatment on their investment versus everything that comes in after $100,000. I can say that with our initial pledges, we are not at 100,000 right now. So if anybody wants to still get in and pledge at a discounted rate, a discounted valuation, you can still do that. And then we'll reveal May 1st where we are. If we're over 100,000, the time will have passed that May 1st. If we're under 100,000 and it goes live May 1st, you'll still have time to kind of put it at a special valuation. But all I can say is we're not at 100,000 right now. So that's the goal. We've had different investment. I can say the average investor has been somewhere between $500 and $1,000, just depends. There have been some really surprising investments. And then there's been, some that came from really small people. I'll put it that way. There's some underage people who have shown me that they wanted to help Big Dave out. So that's been heartwarming to see anybody put any amount of money. The minimum pledge, if you will, is $100. They will come to you later when we go live and start to ask you for your paperwork and make your investment official. So until you sign paperwork, it will not be official. But the fundraise can go up to as high as 4.6 million. So we don't know when it goes live what's going to do. There was a recent company called Curl Mix that went live last week on April 9th, and in 4 hours raised $1 million, and in a day had 2 million, and I think they're at 3.5 million. Here we are 10 days out. So I mean, it moves very fast. So I'm hoping that we can get that kind of traction. The biggest problem, if we do get that kind of transaction, is my team will all of a sudden have to increase very quickly. We're prepared for it. We're prepared to order equipment. We're prepared to find locations. We're prepared to take orders for our plant being open. We're prepared for all the access that we've all asked for, but I don't really know what's going to happen. This has been one of the hardest things that I've had to do in my life, is turn over everything that means so much to me to the public and hope that they can invest in it. But I think that if every time I tell my clients, if you can talk with confidence, you can tell people what do you do, why you're good at it, how much money you need, and what they're going to get for it, I think that most people will make a educated decision on their investment. And that's really all we're looking for right now, is to educate and get people comfortable. I told them when Befunder first told me about this sort of test the water phase, they suggested we do a 2-week phase. I said, you can't do that. I said, my friends and family don't work on 2-week checks. They need to go to at least 2 Sundays of church before they can get to the point of writing a check. They got to first make sure they check in and I'm okay, then the business makes sense and they got the money. So let's give them 2 or 3 Sundays before we get to the conversion process. But we're hitting the home stretch here. We're down the last, 11 days or so, this fundraising process. I got to kind of, put all the warning signs to friends and family. Like now's the time to sort of get in and get your pledge done. We have a person, Ryan Thomas, who can walk you through if you don't want to talk to me specifically about your investment or want to kind of keep it a little bit anonymous until you're sure about what your financial situation is. We have somebody for that. His name and contact information is in the link that we always share, invest.starwalkerindustries.com. You pull it up, you press talk to an investor rep, and you'll see a calendar with some time for him to invest. So we're still going with the friends and family time. We're still going through the process. All I can say is we're less than 100,000, but it's growing every day. And I'm thankful for every single dollar.
All right, David, we have another question for you. David Anderson says that it sounds like a great team, and I believe the beverage industry is quite competitive. What are 1 or 2 biggest things that set StarWalker Industries apart?
Sure. So the biggest thing that sets us apart are our brands and our customer service. So we're the only bottled water brand that develops brand behind a state of mind or a being or a mindset. We have our integrity brand that focuses in on people making the choice of integrity. Our integrity brand pretty much competes with, what you might see on the shelf with Kroger, et cetera. This goes to a lot of schools, a lot of distribution networks across the Southeast and Midwest. They love the integrity brand. And I think that it stands for what we try to stand for in our company, which is the making good decisions when nobody's looking. The second thing that we've grown quickly is the positivity brand. Both of these brands are trademarked, because I know you're an attorney. So they're both branded and trademarked. And this brand is actually being distributed mostly in the Southeast. We're expanding into New York, and we expanded into the Southeast and the Florida coming up. And pretty much it's the positivity, it's the positive mind state. I think a lot of people are drawn to the emotions that we draw in terms of thinking positive, drink positivity. Our brand is outwardly manifesting itself as an alkaline water with a high pH. People who are in health, fitnesses, and battling illnesses typically want a high pH or an alkaline diet. One of the choices that they choose is the alkaline water. If you haven't had alkaline water, you should try it, and then you should realize how ours is much better than everybody else's. So try ours. There's a link to buy a case if you haven't already. I think that you'll be pleasantly surprised by the taste of it, how it makes you feel, the energy. You will keep your hair. So you enjoy positivity. I think that we've been doing a good job, lastly, in customer service. When we deliver our truckload orders, they get there on time. We tell them when it's coming. Jada does a fantastic job of scheduling freight. We've always worked with our customers. Our motto here is be the Chick-fil-A of bottled water. So if a truckload is coming late, we tell them as soon as it's coming late. If somebody's not happy, we fix it right away. If something's broken, we fix it and repair it. And that's mostly because I'm not a greedy person. I do have a law career in the law offices that I go after, but I want customers to be happy. I don't want the name StarWalker or Dave Walker to be synonymous with being, adversarial or somehow not willing to be a team player. We have some great relationship with some co-ops who have a group of distributors underneath them. And because we've been sort of scrubbed by the co-ops to be able to offer our services and products to their distributors, that's worked out really well for us. And largely, we've done this over 6 years without a sales team. So it's been a lot of word of mouth within the industry on our brands. And we haven't done it with very little marketing and sales. And now it's time to turn the corner. It's time to let the world know what we do. Time to let the world know why we're good at it and bring on people who can help share that goal. But that's a good question, Dave. I appreciate the question. And then I also get to hear from you. It's been a long time.
And don't see that we have any other questions. David did say, great answer, Dave. Thanks so much. It sounds very promising. And Camille said, for everyone who knows David Walker, you know how amazing his team is. And even though water in general may not be the best tasting beverage that you can drink, that the integrity of our team makes this endeavor unmatched in our industry. And she is just so very, very excited for us. So thank you, Camille.
No problem. There is a part of the team that's not here and that will not be on here, and that is my internal family. They are definitely part of the StarWalker team. They have supported me through this in both the consumption of my product as well as in the promotion of the product, and anything I've needed. They've been here to help me, whether it was a lunch or a pep talk or a morning prayer. My family has been behind this pretty much from the beginning. My wife has her own practice, but she also spends time to motivate me and to make me happy and to encourage me when things don't seem like they're maybe going the right way. And all of the team members on here have supporting family members the same, that, you know, we've all had our moments, and you're going to have your moments where you're an entrepreneur as an employee, and you got to have a family that believes in you, that pushes you back into the arena, that tells you it's going to be okay. So for that intangible value of that at-home team, I say thank you as well. They can go back and watch the tape on this or not, and then they can know that I talked about them as well. So thank you for that, Camille. Thank you, Shar. We got 10 minutes left. You think there's any more other questions, all of you on the Zoom, since you're on the Zoom?
Well, Andrew, I think would like to say something. So Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, I did. There's one thing, and I share it with folks when I do road shows, when I'm raising capital. And the phrase that I use is, it's more important that you bet on the jockey more than the horse. Now, we've got a great horse here, but you've had an opportunity today and in prior calls to see the jockey and jockeys, and that's what you're investing in. That's what you've got faith in, and I certainly do too. So we think about the jockey even more so than the horse.
Thank you, Andrew. That was very well said. Dave.
Yes.
So I just saw a question that I wanted to read to you. So John Cash says, can you further share your channel strategy? Do you understand what that means, David, or should we ask John to unmute?
Yeah, we can give it a shot. So,
okay, John.
So one of the things, there's two different channels, John, that you should know about, because we have two different divisions. We have a distribution division that currently sells truckloads of bottled water in terms of integrity, our Spring and Purified brand, and our positivity. And penetrating those channels and those markets is completely different than when we build this plant. When we build the plant, we're really trying to focus in on the local community. We're going for local hotels as opposed to national franchise hotel. We're going for the local restaurants, the local franchise restaurants, and trying to build a model around our distribution that keeps our bottles within the reasonable perimeter of Atlanta so that we can bring them back. So when we build the plant, our capacity will be about 32 million bottles per year, give or take, Greg, depending on the 24 ounce or the 3 liter. And so we'll have a limited capacity for the city of Atlanta. City of Atlanta could probably support 5 to 6 plants if you spread them out geographically. But for the first plant, we're just really trying to get the city of Atlanta involved, some of the local distribution networks, some of the local retailers would go for our grab and go bottle. That'll be like a 24 ounce bottle. And then for the grocers, et cetera, we'll be looking for the 3 liter bottle for much bigger engagements. So we'll have a local sales team here for the plant. Once we have the plant designs done and find the location and the space, we'll start to pre-sell that market immediately. And hopefully we'll have our first years of production capacity pre-sold before we generate our first pallet off of our line. That's really the idea. And we're in a position to get that done and start that now. But that'll be more of a local strategy in both the retail distribution market. There'll be some consumer. There's also some delivery models that get in. Delivery of water gets a little tricky because of the weight of water. So you can find yourself spending a lot of money on freight not going very far. So we have to examine some of those as well. But we plan on going with, a consumer pickup model and then targeting some local distributors, retailers, et cetera. Hopefully that answered your question. If anybody else on the team has a better idea of what they would like to input on the channel, I'm certainly open to that. This is not my only interpretation.
Sure.
Well, John did say thank you on that. So
okay, yeah.
Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah. So I would just add a bit to that. I think one of the things, if he's talking from my experience working at CPG, and one of the channels that's emerging, of course, is the e-commerce channel, right? And so what I hope and what I can probably say that Dave does envision is that expanding on the e-commerce platform, right? We have Jet, we have Walmart, we have Amazon, and that is really, we have in this direct to customer model that's emerging very quickly. And so what we know is that there was a particular time where we said, okay, when we would talk about a channel strategy, we would say, okay, we're going to go to the military channel, which we're going to go serve our armed forces. We're going to go through AFES. Our retail channel, we're going to go Walmart, Kroger's, Publix, Target. But now our model is we say, okay, direct to consumer. Here in Dallas, we actually have a milk truck running. That's really, really vintage. You can now buy your milk direct from the farm, comes in a glass, direct to your door. And so really that's something that is going to be on the table going forward, is that we're going to be looking to follow that model where we're saying, you know what, we can have a model where we can serve people directly. We can also talk about our commercial division, where we can now, once we're doing this type of thing in-house, we can talk about approaching office buildings, commercial spaces, and now saying we can service you commercially, where we can take these big bottles and we can big bottles in those machines and now serve your break rooms and your vending and things like that. And so coming out of the pandemic, this is going to be very interesting, because I think the economy is going to really just open and just really blow once everyone gets their vaccines and get past the pandemic. So I hope that kind of adds to what David is saying.
Yeah, and let us not forget about our return policy. We will have a return on the bottles. It'll be 10 cents for a bottle like this and 25 cents for a bottle like this. So back to David's point too, we feel very good about the return system that we're building. To Patrick's point, if you can deliver the water and then also pick up the plastic on your redeliveries, that's something that can help with a closed loop system. You can't do that with a national brand. You can do it in the city of Atlanta or College Park or East Point or whatever your target market is. So we actually feel very good about trying to capture a lot of our plastic. To the extent that we're going to allocate a reserve of 25 cents for the big bottle and 10 cents for the other bottles towards our collection initiative. So to the extent that not everyone brings the bottle back, you get maybe 15 or 20%, which is still significantly higher than what's getting recycled now. You can still allocate the rest of that money to continue to build the recycling program. We want to get vending machines, reverse vending machines in here to be able to collect more than just our bottles, but other PET1 bottles made by other bottled water manufacturers. I won't list them, you know who they are. But the idea is that we can collect more of our PET1 bottle and convert it into pellets. And, we didn't get a chance to talk about this. And then ultimately preforms, and then ultimately bottles. So that's really where we're trying to change this thing when it comes to this plan. It's not just say, oh, wow, we make a great bottled water. Oh, wow, does the water taste great? But they also say, you know what? I do want to bring this bottle back. I do want people to return it. Camille Jones did also mention in her question about how great our water was. She didn't mention that she's one of our great recyclers, and she finds that bottle, brings them back, gets her $3 collected. So we're actually already implementing our bottle return policy with our positivity. People who buy here and pick up here can bring it back and get $3 per case, 15-pack case, for about 33 cents per bottle 20 cents per bottle to bring it back. So I'm actually already doing that, and people love that. It's just kind of like it started off as kind of a commodity thing, or kind of like a little like, oh, that's nice. But now people take it very serious. They're yearning to do something about plastic. They want to drink the water. They want to be healthy. But, plastic piling up around them, or they're throwing it into the trash, or recycling just doesn't seem to fit the bill. We think we have the answer for that. And I think it makes sense. And I'm looking forward to proving to everybody it does.
So David, just to encapsulate what StarWalker Industries does as a whole, we have three major initiatives. And one is our manufacturing division, where we're looking to build micro plants in different cities, local cities, to produce water locally, sell water locally, and to be able to serve the local community. The second division of StarWalker is our distribution division. And with that, we're really looking to expand our national truckload sales. So we're looking to partner with distributors and large box stores to be able to purchase truckloads of water, be it our Integrity spring or purified water, as well as our Positivity 9.5 pH alkaline water. And then thirdly, we're looking to give back to our community by being able to recycle the bottle. We want to collect back all of the PET1 bottles, because when we recapture that PET1 bottle, we're then able to take that bottle and to reproduce other water bottles. So a lot of times when we're throwing our recycling into the recycling bin, it's going to what we call dirty recycling. And that recycling can never be used again to create clean water bottles. So our initiative is to be able to recapture our bottles that we send out. And David says, not only do we like our bottles, but we want to buy them back because they're pretty. So we want to be able to give back to the community in that way by recapturing our PET1 recycling. So that is just kind of encapsulate what we do here at StarWalker Industries. And right now we need you. We need each and every one of you to help us get the word out, to let people know about our equity crowdfunding campaign. Right now we have 11 days to go. Is that right, David? Before we end our family and friends round, correct?
That's right. And we have 11 seconds to end this video so I can still be on time. So yes, family and friends round ends soon. This video, Kyle, ends soon. Everybody get back to work, make more money so you can invest it with me. I appreciate all your lovely faces, all the screenshot faces. We'll probably put something up later. If you don't want your face up or you want it blurred out, let us know. We don't want to, if you have any warrants out there, anything like that, I don't want any trouble. And like, I saw you on the investor call. Anyway.
And in closing, we want to say, think what? Think positive and drink positivity.
Thanks all.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
I don't pay for overtime. Get back to work.
Bye-bye.